A woman pushes her car over a cliff's edge. Inside, her 2-year-old child is begging her not to abandon him. Yet, she relentlessly pushes the car into the abyss. In reality, she's backed into a corner herself. It turns out moments earlier, Liza was driving while lighting a cigarette, which set off the car's smoke alarm. The system automatically opened the windows and demanded she pull over. Liza was annoyed, wondering why the car was interfering with her like that. In a fit of anger, she disabled the smart system directly. Instantly, everything went silent. But the baby in the back seat started choking on cigarette smoke and began to cry. Liza hastily turned to try and calm him down. Unexpectedly, not paying attention, she crashed into a reindeer. Liza was horrified and the baby's cries grew louder. To comfort him, she gave him her phone to play with, then quickly got out to assess the situation. The reindeer was trapped under the front bumper, whimpering in pain. Liza didn't know what to do at that moment. The alarm, triggered by the unlocked doors, kept blaring. The baby also continued to cry. Liza was so frazzled that her mind was in turmoil. So she quickly closed the car door. After everything quieted down, she tried to decide her next steps. But while the baby was playing on the phone, he accidentally swiped his hand and opened the car's smart control interface. Intrigued, the baby tapped the diamond icon, accidentally activating the car's safe mode. The system automatically locked all the doors. Liza planned to use a wooden beam to pry open the closing window. As a result, she nearly crushed her fingers. Because this was a bulletproof vehicle, normal actions couldn't disable the safe mode. Liza realized that at this point, there was only one way. She ran to the rear window trying to get the baby to control the phone, but ultimately the toddler was only 2 years old and didn't understand her mother's instructions. "Zach, look at me here. Swipe like this." "Look at me," Liza shouted in panic, which resulted in the baby being startled and crying even harder. The phone fell under the seat. Liza cried for help in despair, but in the wilderness there was no one to respond. Liza tried to call the smart system from outside the car, but unfortunately she had turned off the voice system while smoking. So the system was unresponsive. Then she found a large rock and used all her strength to hit the car window. Unexpectedly, the bulletproof glass made in Vietnam was unbreakable. Instead, it made the baby even more scared and cry even more. Liza was afraid that the baby would be too scared. She started playing hide and seek with him. After calming down the baby's mood, she decided to seek help from others nearby. After walking for a long time, she finally found an electrical substation. She called out loudly, but no one responded, so she climbed over the fence and into the building. There, she found a landline. She quickly picked it up and made a call, but unexpectedly, the person who answered was a power company operator who then hung up. The system automatically explained that all employees were on holiday. They asked her to call back in a few days. Liza immediately threw the phone down and began rummaging through the room for useful items. She chose a large wrench, prepared to go back and break the car window, but on the way, she heard the howl of a wolf. She ran quickly back to the car, then quickly jumped onto the roof. The stray dog also jumped onto the roof, right behind. Seeing that, Liza raised the big wrench and swung it towards the dog, instead hitting the car glass. The car's warning system immediately rang out. The stray dog was frightened and ran away without looking back. But this also proved that the large wrench could not break this glass either. After struggling all night, Liza was completely exhausted. She lay on the hood of the car, smoking to relieve stress. When she woke up, the sun had already reached the top of the mountain. At this time, Liza remembered her child was still in the car. The temperature inside the car was getting higher. The baby's face was red from the heat. Seeing that, Liza took off her jacket and put it on the roof of the car to block the sun. She told the baby to try and endure it by himself for a little longer. She needed to go out to find help. Hearing that her mother was about to leave, the baby was very scared. The baby also realized that maybe it was him who lost the phone, so her mother was planning on leaving him, but he had tried several times but could not reach the phone. "I can reach the phone, Mommy. I know you were scared to be alone here." Liza still decided to leave the baby. In the vast Gobi Desert, she walked for a long time, finally spotting a plane in the distance. Liza happily ran towards it, but upon drawing closer she realized this was an abandoned plane with no one around. She climbed on the plane to look for supplies and found only an empty water jug. Liza was completely livid now. She set fire to the plane's spare tire in hopes the smoke would be seen by someone. Then she went to the riverbank, filled the bucket with water and then poured it over the car to try and lower its temperature. But by now, the baby was unconscious. The inside of the car was as hot as an oven. The current situation had become dire. At this point, she remembered that she was smoking in the car the previous day. The smart system had automatically opened the car windows. Immediately, she had an idea and decided to start a fire near the car's air intake. The result was beyond her expectations. After the intelligent system detected the smoke, it turned off the air conditioning again, and the temperature in the car immediately skyrocketed. Liza now felt as if her heart was burning. She took the large wrench again, frantically hitting all parts of the car. But whether it was the door, window, or sunroof, they showed no signs of breaking. In fact, it only made her more desperate. Until she was completely exhausted, she collapsed to the ground. When she woke up again, despairingly looking at the baby in the car, she saw that he still had a faint breath. At that moment, the stray dog from the previous night appeared again, suddenly rushing towards her. Liza wanted to climb onto the roof of the car and try the old trick again, but unfortunately she slipped and couldn't get up, so she had to follow her instinct and crawl under the car. The fierce dog was biting at Liza's pants leg, trying to drag her out. Liza resolutely resisted. The dog finally let go. The dog intended to circle in front of the car to attack, but it found a dead deer trapped under the front of the car was trapped. It immediately began to gnaw on the deer. Liza quickly helped it push the deer out. After a period of struggle, the car suddenly started shaking. It slowly slid backwards. Liza was very scared at this time. She immediately crawled out and tried to hold the car back. Behind was a cliff tens of meters high and her baby was still in the car. If the car fell off by chance, the consequences would be unpredictable. The car was sliding faster and faster. The situation was becoming more dangerous. Fortunately, a rock on the road was stuck in the wheel, and the car finally stopped. Liza then breathed a sigh of relief and quickly ran to see her baby's situation. The baby's face was completely red now. She knew the baby was in a life-threatening situation. Liza immediately blamed herself. Why was she afraid of a dog? So she went in front of the stray dog and screamed in a frantic manner. The stray dog was quickly frightened and ran away. After that, Liza had an idea. If the car fell off the cliff, maybe it will be able to open the car doors. Therefore, she used a wrench, broke a rock, then stood in front of the car, using all her strength to push the car in a desperate way. The car was moving closer and closer to the cliff. Liza looked at the baby once more and then decided, pushing the car down into the abyss. The unexpected thing is that the car quickly reactivated the intelligent system while falling. It activated the zero-gravity mode, finally landing safely on the ground. Liza limped over quickly and tried to open the car door. At this time, the car door actually opened. She was so touched that she burst into tears. Then she quickly brought the baby to a cool place, helping him calm down. At this time, the car's smart system had restarted. The car fell from the cliff, but was almost undamaged. Therefore, Liza immediately got back into the car. The car was shaking in the deserted desert. The car was bouncing on the wild road. She wanted to go back to the main road, but she had to rush up a steep hill in front. This was almost impossible. However, Liza had no more time to hesitate. She quickly adjusted the car's ground clearance, turned on the off-road mode. The car then rushed forward like a wild horse out of control. Beginning to climb strongly, the car crashed into many rocks but without slowing down at all, finally passing through a gap in the rocks and successfully climbing to the top of the hill. The two mother and child had finally escaped from danger. Liza relied on her navigation to return to the highway. Finally, she took her son to the hospital. After a period of treatment, the baby finally woke up. Seeing the baby recover, Liza finally felt relieved. Liza knew that throughout this journey, it wasn't because she was so strong, but because of her motherly love, she was unafraid of anything. Facing a life or death challenge, she would never back down.